So here's my garage before, and here's my garage after I put together these shelving units for my garage, which is much more organized. So I'll walk you through the steps of what I did to get here. So I purchased all of my lumber and hardware from Home Depot, and also got assistance there with them cutting down the plywood to the exact size I needed. All right, in order to measure the height of where I wanted the shelves to go, I measured out the bins, and that gave me an idea of where to place or how high to place the first shelf, because I needed those a little bit higher since I was going to be storing heavier and bigger storage boxes at the bottom, and then measured out the totes that I would have in the middle, and along with the totes that I would have at the top. And that's how I was able to figure out where my 2x4s needed to be placed. After leveling each 2x4, I then secured them to the studs using 3-inch nails. In order to secure the 2x4s to the studs, I needed to secure them using a 3-inch nail. But since I was doing it solo, I hammered in a wood nail into the studs and used that as a lever, and then secured the 2x4 into the studs and then removed the nail. All right, now it's time to start assembling the front of the shelving unit. All right, I started by aligning each board to the pre-existing leveled 2x4 and then drilling 3 nails to hold them in place. I then measured the height for the outer and middle leg. With this particular build, I wanted my legs to be flush with the top shelving unit, so I cut down the 2x4s using my saw to that height. Now that I have it perfectly cut, I secure the legs to the front of the frame and then unscrew the 3-inch nails that I had screwed into the back part of the wall, so that way I can move the frame out and then provide the support beams. To attach the front and back of the shelving units, I use 21-inch pieces of 2x4. I didn't have a Craig and didn't want to invest in one, so I just drilled 3-inch nails at an angle, and that was able to secure the front and the back of the unit just fine. Securing the front was pretty easy of those 3 pieces I just cut, because I left a slight space on that far right leg, and was able to drill the nail in directly flat into those pieces. And I was so excited, I couldn't wait to the end. I had to make sure the OSB board was going to fit, and I was so happy that it did. I just had to sit back and take a moment and be like, wow, it's coming together. I then attached additional 21-inch support beams to provide more structural support. Once I was done adding in additional screws and nails, I figured this would be the best time to do some cleanup and also spray some insect repellent. All right, this was the OSB I purchased from Home Depot, and I actually had them cut it to 2x8s versus me having the extra step at home having to cut it. Thank you to Home Depot, they did that for me, so I was able to just slide the right into the shelving unit and then secure them with 2-inch nails. At this point, I am done with this shelving unit and super excited, so I step back to view my work. So I absolutely love the durability and love the way this looks. I love the way it smells, to be honest with you, of wood. But now next is just to start filling up with stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to easily access everything and know where everything is. And now I have to also tackle this side. More to come. So I couldn't just stop there. I had to the next day come back and start working on another side. But this one a little bit more tricky. As you see, I had to move all the stuff, but I also had a workbench there, which I originally was just going to get rid of altogether. But then my wife talked me into a really good idea, and I decided to relocate it, which took some time, but I am super excited about the end result on how it came out. So first thing was to get the measurements down. Again, measure, measure, measure. And once you think you have the measurements correct, measure again just to make sure. So I had to stop day 2, and this is day 3 of getting everything organized, cleaned up, and was able to put down some insect repellent. But again, had to start measuring and make sure I had everything exactly where I needed to be, and had a little bit more experience because, again, I did the right side, so the left side should be easier. I start by securing the back of the unit and getting the 2x4s exactly where I want it, and spacing out where my bins were going to go and what heights I needed each of these shelves to be at. Once secured to the studs, it's time to start working on the front by holding the 2x4 to the already leveled 2x4 for the back, and just use 1 or 2 nails, 3-inch nails, to secure it in place so that way they'll be level. Now it's time to measure the height of where I want my middle and outer legs. This time I decided to use my miter saw versus my hand saw, since I had already set it up. And the first time I actually used this, because it was new, was the other day. So I was like, let me get some more use out of it, and it's fun. All right, so now it's time to secure the legs. And this time, as I mentioned before, when I was in the other shelving unit, I had to go back and remove the middle and the left leg. And so this time I measured the space I needed for 2 bins to actually fit within the left and right side of the shelving unit. I didn't do that last time, and I had to redo that whole thing. So, FY. I then cut more 21-inch pieces of 2x4 for the support beams, as well as the attachments for the front and back of the unit. It was much easier this time around to attach these 3 21-inch boards to the supporting structure that's the back end first at an angle, and then screwing in the front frame, leaving a small inch where I can easily assess the board and drill straight in versus having to drill at an angle. Then it's just a matter of screwing in the remaining middle and support pieces of wood, 21 inches as well, to finish it off. And I'm going to screw this in with 3-inch nails. All right, so as I'm finishing up or going to this last step, what I'm doing right now is I just
put in the support beams, but I'm only putting them on this side of the frame, so it's gonna make it easier, which I didn't do when I did the other side. So this time around, I was like, let me make it easier on myself. Put the support beams on. I'm gonna go ahead and do the top first and get those secured, and I'll finish up this video.
So here's a better view to see what I was doing and what I was explaining. So I attached first the support boards in the center against the front of the rack, and then went back and secured it to the back end by using 3-inch screws at an angle. And this was much easier doing it this way as last time I did in reverse. Lastly, after tightening everything up with a few extra screws, I was able to drop in and load the OSB and then secure that down with a few more nails.
So that's it. This project is done. All I gotta do is put in the 2-inch nails to make sure this OSB doesn't slide around. And that's it. I'll put together the video. Thank you for watching. And I'll show you the final product with everything reorganized from the garage. So hit me up if you have any questions. Peace.
As I'm just securing the OSB to the 2x4 with some nails, you'll also notice I left a couple of inches at the end. That I want to leave on to use for extension cords and taller items so they can lean up against there. I didn't want to make it flush. And there's the final result, which I am more than happy with. Thanks for watching.